Good afternoon, everyone. Afternoon, Ms. Bridgewater.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
The SAP reset date,
It's a special day, July 25th. Remember that date, okay?
what- right, 2 o'clock. We'll get started whenever 6 o'clock.
You waiting on me?
No, Mr. Howard, I'm
Oh.
waiting, making sure everyone's with us. And I guess whenever courtroom 2, if you all are in ACDC, let me just go ahead and greet everybody. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. So you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. You have a right to have an attorney present at these proceedings. We're providing you with the assistance of a public defender today if you choose to utilize their services. Where would you all like to begin this afternoon?
Go ahead, ACDC. Oh, thank you so much. You guys are awesome. Coming up is position number 3, Ms. Davenport.
Good afternoon, Ms. Davenport. You've been charged in case 24 CR 004593G with willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer and giving false information to law enforcement. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
8 total. 2024 trespass and obstruction on probation in DeKalb for criminal damage to property, theft by taking, simple battery, arson, reckless conduct. And another probation out of DeKalb for reckless conduct and battery. That open trespass and obstruction is 24 CR 000941G. And got an open obstruction out of Gwinnett. That's it.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. McConkey.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. In this incident, the defendant is accused of walking away from the incident location after being asked by officers to stand by to be checked through the system for warrants. The defendant also gave officers a false name of Courtney Davis and a false birth date of February 23rd, 1986. This incident took place on July 8th, 2024 at 3887 Washington Road in Atlanta. The state's recommendation is a signature bond through pretrial services, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond.
Why was she stopped?
She was with an individual who was loitering. And so she was stopped for being with that individual who was loitering, and they charged her with loitering as well. But given the facts of that charge, we dismissed it.
Okay. Let's see, who's representing Ms. Davenport? Good afternoon, Mr. Ty. Can you help me?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Let me look at that and see who's representing her. I believe, sorry. Let me see. It is PD Cook. I'll text him.
Thank you, Mr. Ty. Let's see, while we're waiting, can we go to courtroom 2? I'm sorry, Ms. Davenport, I'll be back with you, ma'am. Is it possible to go to courtroom 2 and see who we have there? As long as it's not Mr. Cook's case, I guess.
Position 6, Janet.
Good Good afternoon, Mr. Jennings. You've been charged in case 24CR004594F with simple assault, family violence, and simple battery, family violence. To your history, Mr. Howard.
Second arrest, 2019 theft by taking, first offender. That's it.
Okay, is this your case, Miss Allen? Good afternoon.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Good afternoon. One moment. So Mr. Nicholas Jennings is charged with an assault on Raven Nesbitt. This is an incident, one moment, that occurred at a Sandy Springs location. I actually just filed an amendment, but it doesn't change any charges specifically. This occurred on the 10th of July, 2024 at 8 in the morning. Let me give you the location, apologize. So this is an Atlanta PD case, 349 Decatur Street. Police spoke with both individuals on scene. There was a verbal dispute. Mrs. Nesbitt, the victim in this case, reported that she'd been slapped in the face. This caused her head to hit the door, and she fell on the floor. The defendant followed her throughout the house and struck her again. She was inside a bathroom. She locked herself in the bathroom to get away from the defendant. He came into the bathroom and told her she needed to get out and leave the house. She'd been living at the location with the defendant. You can't evict someone who lives with you. Mrs. Nesbitt reported that Mr. Jennings slapped her in the face again in the bathroom. She left the bathroom, was gathering her things. They continued in a verbal. And then the defendant dragged this victim outside where he punched her in the face with a closed fist. Officer Shields from APD made this report. The request, Your Honor, is for a level 2 and a $4,000 bond, $2,000 on each count.
Okay. Yes, Miss Atai, is this your case?
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, my client is 22 years old. He has lived in Georgia all his life. He graduated from high school and attended Georgia Southern University. He took a break during COVID. He was studying mechanical engineering. He's now enrolled at Atlanta Tech, studying automotive, or studying to become an automotive technician. He is gainfully employed. He works at the Ellis Hotel. He states, I wasn't able to get in touch with the complaining witness, but he states that she didn't call the police. A neighbor called the police, and she told the police when they arrived that she didn't want to press charges. He stated that that would be on the body cam. Well, of course, we don't have access to that right now. I only saw a charge of simple assault, family violence, and I did see that his last arrest and only other arrest was in 2019, so 5 years ago, for a theft by taking. So he has no violent history. I think this is his second arrest, unless I didn't hear what Mr. Howard said. And he is recommended for a signature bond through pretrial services at level 1. He's fine with a stay away. He states that they are both moving out of that place and they'll be living separately. But I would ask for a signature bond through pretrial services and at level 1. and a stay away and no further contact. There's nothing I can do about it because I wasn't able to get in touch with the complaining witness. Nothing further.
Your Honor, our office has been in touch with Mrs. Nesbitt. The police call, the 911 call came in from a third party who reported to the police that he'd heard the defendant assaulting Mrs. Nesbitt on several occasions leading up to that incident date. We spoke to Mrs. Nesbitt, who confirmed the events in the warrant. She reported that nothing like this had happened previously, but said she's not in fear of the defendant and will be moving out of the location. They share no children, but were living together at that location. And so we would request no contact in this case.
Nesbitt is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity to do so. Okay, for each count, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1, makes for a total of a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1, 1-day anger awareness, no further contact with Ms. Nesbitt, stay away from the Decatur Street address. He can go back to that address on one occasion if necessary to retrieve his belongings, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Jennings.
Petition number 7.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. DeSola. You have been charged in case 24 CR 004598J with battery family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
No,
Said number 7, that's you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
no, this is McFarland, right?
I'm sorry, it's McFarland. Excuse me. I apologize.
It's still a first arrest though.
Okay.
Or whoever it is.
Good afternoon. So this is Mr. McFarland, is that correct?
Mr. McFadden, yes.
Correct.
Yes, thank you. You've been charged in case 24 CR 004595A with willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer and simple battery. Is there a history as first arrest, Mr. Howard?
Correct.
Yes, Ms. Allen.
Thank you, Your Honor. The charges in this case are willful obstruction, but also the simple battery was amended to simple battery on a law enforcement officer. Mr. McFadden is the listed owner of a vehicle that was stopped. His co-defendant also on the pull sheet for today and first appearance was the driver. This was a vehicle driving with an expired tag on a license plate for Georgia, came back with questionable insurance or no insurance and expired registration. Police conducted a traffic stop and asked for the driver's license, and then informed the driver that he was going to receive 3 citations. The driver advised that he had insurance. The passenger, Mr. McFadden, then spoke up and reached for a phone and said he had proof on the cell phone. He tried to show the officer a screenshot of something that contradicted what was in the system for the police. The officer asked him to refresh the page just to be sure it wasn't a photograph and was actually on the web. Mr. McFadden refused. The officer asked both defendants to show the Department of Revenue information if that was appropriate or up to date. And that wasn't complied with. So the officer started to write citations. The driver refused to sign the citations. The car was still on. Female officer requested that the keys be taken out of the ignition and handed over to her. The driver refused. The officer opened the door and asked the defendant driving to get out and included the passenger, Mr. McFadden, as well. The officer began being assaulted by the driver, and then Mr. McFadden reached over and began slapping at the officer with an open hand as well, trying to push the officer away. Other officers were called for backup, and the 2 individuals were taken into custody, and the car was released to a third party, I believe. This occurred at 2591 Piedmont Road here in Atlanta. And this is Officer Philemond, Philemond with APD, Your Honor. So incident 71024.
State's recommendation.
Level 1, we would ask for $1,000 on each count, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Ty.
Yes, Your Honor, my client is 26 years old. He has lived in Georgia all his life. He is currently a student at Kennesaw State University, a junior studying computer science. He is gainfully employed. He firmly denies the allegations as stated in the warrant. He states that he was thrown on the ground and tackled, as a result of a traffic stop, Your Honor. And he firmly denies any violence against the police officer. I mean, he's charged with willful obstruction, where it says he did not offer and did not do violence to the officer. And then also here charged with simple battery. The warrant states, I mean, it's confusing between the driver and the passenger, but the warrant states that the officer reached to grab the driver's hand, which is not my client, and he pulled away and began to strike the officer toward the chest area, and then apparently is stating that my client reached over and attempted to push the officer simultaneously. He firmly denies these allegations and states that that never happened. And the officer was yelling at them, being extremely forceful, and that he ended up being tackled to the ground after he stepped out of the vehicle voluntarily and was tackled. And he stated there were 20 police officers there. This is his very first arrest, his very first encounter with law enforcement. He is recommended for a signature bond through the jail, but I understand that it may be bail restricted. So I would be asking for a signature bond through pretrial services, level 1, or a signature bond through the jail.
Okay, for each charge, it'll be $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Makes for a total of a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, sir. And just a note, Mr. Cook has joined us, so we can do his cases as well.
We're gonna do position add-on number 1, Malone.
Good afternoon, Mr. Malone. You've been charged in case 24 CR 0046048 with battery. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Third arrest, 2023, possession of marijuana. We got an open case in Superior Court, possession of a sawed-off shotgun or sawed-off rifle, machine gun, and tampering with evidence, 23 CP 216722. Oh, he went to felony earlier for some capital cases, so yeah, it's in the notes.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Ms. Allen.
Your Honor, this is an incident that occurred May the 9th of 2024. The defendant is alleged with another co-defendant to have assaulted and causing a bruised, swelling, blackened eye to the victim in this case. One moment. The defendant was arrested on July the 9th on 3 different cases, warrants for 3 different cases. The victim in this case, Mr. Prater, Prater, was at a location 4900 Delano Road. And this is an incident that occurred at 5 in the morning on May the 9th. There was an eyewitness who reported that they saw Mr. Dave Prater being attacked by 2 men, physically assaulted him, took drugs off of his person. The witness provided police with names of two of the men that attacked Mr. Dave. Another witness who actually was the girlfriend of Dave Prater spoke to police and reported that he'd returned to their apartment right after this incident and had a severely swollen black eye. And he told her who it was who'd assaulted him. He knew his attackers. You did just hear that this young man is on felony or has open felony case already that deals with violence and firearms. I will note that he was arrested on the 9th, and as of the 9th of July, the victim in this case has died. There was a second assault on Mr. Prater, so we won't need a stay away, that occurred on May the 22nd of this year, and that resulted in his death. So we would be asking for a $10,000 bond on this battery, Your Honor, and no guns, drugs, alcohol.
Mr. Time.
Yes, Your Honor, my client is 20 years old. He has lived in Georgia all his life. He is currently pursuing his GED. I heard some arrests, but he has no violent convictions, I don't believe. He is recommended for a signature bond through pretrial services at level 2. And as you heard, he is currently held with no bond on some other charges. He firmly denies the allegations as stated in the warrant, and all allegations against him. I spoke with his mother, and he states that he lives with her in Newnan, Georgia. She told me, and he told me as well, that they lived over 2 years ago at this Delano Road address, but have not been there in 2 years. His mother stated that, there's possibly some reward money out there, and, people in the neighborhood are just making, falsely identifying him as one of the people that were there on May 9th, and that he was at home while she was in the hospital watching his siblings. They do live together, his mom and his sister and his brother, in Newnan, and he firmly denies the allegations as stated in the warrant. He's not getting out anytime soon, but for this battery charge, I would like to ask for a signature bond through the jail.
Okay, it'll be a $5,000 good bond, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Malone. Who do we have next?
ACDC, you can go ahead and vote.
Okay. And this is, again, we're back to Ms. Davenport. I didn't know that you weren't on with us, Mr. Cook, earlier. So I've already addressed Ms. Davenport. If you would like for me to go back over the facts with Ms. McConkey and the history, I'm happy to do so.
That would be helpful, Your Honor. I appreciate that.
Okay. Ms. McConkey, would you go over the facts again for me?
Yes, the defendant is accused of walking away from the incident location after being asked by officers to stand by to be checked through the system for warrants. The defendants also gave the officers a false name of Courtney Davis and false birth date of February 23rd, 1986. The defendant was also originally charged with loitering, which is why she was originally stopped. But given the facts of that charge, we did NOD it. Our recommendation is a signature bond through pretrial services, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond.
Mr. Cook?
Yes, Your Honor. My client denies the charges. It all started with the loitering and prowling, which was dropped. She was there to inquire about a job at this location, and did walk away because she thought she could, and then was stopped later on by some other officers. We would be seeking a signature bond to the jail, and have no problem with any other kind of stay away or.
I think that's restricted, Mr. Cook, but as such, it'll be a $10 good bond on each charge, makes for a total of a $20 good bond. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons, while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Davenport. Can you, I believe, does she have, I think she has a question.
Oh, yes, Ms. Davenport. If it's just a question. I don't see her online now.
Can you tell me what a good bond is?
It's a money bond. It's not a signature bond, but yours is only $10.
Okay, and so I just pay that to a bonding company or the jail?
You can pay it directly to the jail.
Okay,
Okay.
It's
Okay.
actually $20, Mr. Cook, $10.
I'm sorry.
It's
Okay,
actually
$20. Okay, thank you.
oh, okay, thank you.
All right, good luck to you, ma'am.
Okay.
Who do we have next?
Position number 10, Mr. Watson.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Watson. You've been charged in case 24CR004601C with simple battery. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
25, 2023 battery conviction, 2023 probation, 2019 probation, and a couple of probations from 2014. That's it.
Yes, Ms. Allen.
Thank you. Your Honor, this is an incident that occurred on the 10th of July, 2024 at 3950 Spalding Drive in Sandy Springs. The victim in this case, John Tora Daniels, has been staying with the defendant for a period of time. They are at the location. At 7:49 p.m., I believe, a domestic dispute call was made to police where police were told that there was a handgun involved. They responded on scene and spoke to both the victim and the defendant while on scene. Outside of the residence, the defendant told the police that the victim had looked through his phone and seen him he'd had an exchange with another woman. She started to argue with him, packed her bags to leave, and was kicking things around the house. And nothing further. The victim corroborated some of that, reported that she'd found messages on the defendant's phone and that she started to pack her things. And while they were arguing, he took her keys from her when she went to get them so that she could leave the location, and withheld those keys from her. She made the 911 call, and at that point, he surrendered the keys back to her, but then physically pushed her out of the location, causing her at one point to lose her shoe, just repeatedly pushing and pushing and pushing her. The victim denied on scene that there was a gun involved. The defendant does have a very serious criminal history. We left a message for Mrs. Watson. No, that's the defendant, excuse me, for Mrs. Daniels. We left a message for Mrs. Daniels, but had not heard back. So if we could sound for her, that would be great. Otherwise, we're asking for a $3,000 bond through pretrial, Your Honor.
Okay. If Ms. Daniels is on the line and wishes to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. Does not appear so.
Actually, the cross defendant is at felony court. She was there at 11:30 a.m. this morning. They were arrested together. So this is actually conflict case. I apologize.
Okay, so what you're saying is that someone from your office represented Ms. Daniels earlier?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay.
So,
okay, all right, so
he's coming in.
Mr. Watson, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. You have a right to have an attorney present at these proceedings. We do not appear to have a conflict attorney available today. If you would like to proceed pro se and represent yourself, I'm happy to let you do that today. The recommendation from the state is a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial. It'll be level 2. No further contact with Ms. Daniels and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. That would be what the court would give you as bond. So it's a signature bond. If you would like to have an attorney represent you in this regard, you'll have to wait till tomorrow.
Your Honor, I did just look up Miss Daniels. They arrested her for a false statement,
Okay.
possibly related to the gun that she said was involved.
So yes, Mr. Watson.
Okay, you said signature bond. That means I sign myself out.
Yes.
And you said I got to pay with $300.
No, you don't have to pay anything.
I got to pay now. Oh, all right.
Okay. You want to go with that?
I'm cool with that, sir. I appreciate you.
Okay. All right. Good luck to you, Mr. Watson.
All right, thank you, sir.
We got to go back to position number 2.
Good.
But before we do that, give me that bond amount again, Your Honor.
It'll be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2.
Thank you.
Okay. Tell me where we're going now. I'm sorry.
We're going back to position number 2.
Okay. Mr. Darrow, you've been charged in case 24 CR 004597C with battery. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
27, resident of Little Rock, Arkansas. 2024 probation, 2023 probation, 2023 battery conviction, 2020 a couple of FTAs, 2018 FTA, 2018 public drunk conviction, and a 2015 failure to appear.
Okay.
This incident occurred July 10th, 2024 at the Chevron located at 639 Morosco Drive in Atlanta. Officers received a call from the victim, Mr. Timothy Blackwell, who stated that while he was at the Chevron, the defendant, who was allegedly a security guard, assaulted him. The victim stated that the defendant advised him to leave the location, and as he was about to leave, the defendant grabbed his beer and spilled it on the floor while grabbing his shirt. The victim then asked the defendant why he was acting like that towards him because he was trying to leave. The defendant struck the victim in the face with a closed fist, and the victim sustained an open wound and visible laceration as a result of the assault. The defendant did admit to officers that he hit the victim. The state's recommendation is a $2,500 surety bond, no further contact with Timothy Blackwell, anger awareness, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. And I would ask the court to sound for Mr. Blackwell if he is on the Zoom.
Timothy Blackwell is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity to do so. Doesn't appear so. Mr. Cook?
Yes, Your Honor, my client is 30 years old. He has an Atlanta address now and is living here, although he's still using the Little Rock address to receive mail. He was a security guard at the incident location, and he was asked by the stores at the incident location to move the alleged victim along. And in doing so, there was a point at which he believed that the alleged victim was going to strike him, so he acted in self-defense. We would be asking, this is a battery, so we would be asking for the lowest possible surety bond, and we have no problem with no further contact with the alleged victim. We wouldn't want any kind of stay away, since that is where the my client works.
Okay. It'll be a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2 per the judge. No further contact with Timothy Blackwell. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, sir. He has a question, I guess, for you, Mr. Cook.
Yes,
Okay, I'm okay with the truck pad, but is he not allowed to come to my job? Because I do see him often. I don't have no problem with it, but he do come to my job.
Okay, well, you just can't be around him, Mr. Darrow. So if he comes there, you need to go inside the facility or something, but you can't be around him whatsoever, okay? I can't restrict him, but, okay?
Yeah,
Mr. Darrell, the owners of the shops may, depending on what kind of activity he's up to, the owners of the shop may look into a trespass warning against him.
got it.
That could solve the problem.
Thank you.
Sure, no problem.
All right, good luck to you, sir.
Position 4 and number 5.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. DeSola. You've been charged in case 24 CR 004598J with battery family violence, and in case 24 CR 004599J with willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer and criminal trespass and damage to property. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
I got first arrest. I saw FTA one out of Brookhaven, and it was a TPO on the GCIC. It was issued June 27th to July 22nd. That's it.
Ms. McConkey?
Yes, Your Honor. The battery family violence incident occurred June 13th, 2024 at 996 Ashby Terrace Northwest in Atlanta. Officers responded to the incident location in response to a call for a demented person. Upon arrival, officers spoke with the victim, Elizabeth Porter, who advised that her daughter's boyfriend, the defendant, is very aggressive towards her and her daughter, and that he is upset and began breaking things in the house and does so whenever he gets upset. The victim further advised that the defendant kicked her door, which caused it to strike her, which led to her sustaining a laceration on her foot. The victim did file a TPO that was entered on June 27th, as pretrial stated. The hearing for that TPO is July 22nd, 2024. Our office has had a chance to speak with the victim, Ms. Porter, who stated that while her daughter always has the defendant at the residence, he does not live there. That incident location is her residence. She confirmed the events in the warrant, stated this is not the first time that this has happened. Every time the defendant gets angry with her daughter, he lashes out and begins damaging property. She stated that she does not want any contact with the defendant, wants him to stay away from the residence. The state's recommendation is a $1,500 surety bond, no further contact with Elizabeth Porter, stay away from the incident location, anger awareness, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol. Would you like me to move on to position 5?
If you would, thank you.
Yes, that incident happened July 10th, 2024 at the same incident location. Officers arrived there to serve that TPO that we just mentioned. Upon arrival, officers did observe the defendant standing on the front porch. Ms. Porter advised officers that the defendant was the subject of the TPO so they could serve him. Because the defendant had some active warrants, officers moved to detain him, and he began resisting arrest by snatching away, disobeying verbal commands, refusing to let go of the porch railing, and trying to flee. As the defendant continued to hold on to the railing and pull on it, the entire railing got disconnected from the porch, which caused the defendant and the officer to fall to the ground. The defendant and the officer continued to struggle until the officer was eventually able to securely detain the defendant. The state's recommendation for this is a signature bond through pretrial services at level 2 or 3. Stay away from the incident location, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. And I do believe Ms. Porter is on the Zoom.
Yes, Ms. Porter, if you would like to address the court, you certainly do not have to, but if you would like to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. I'll need for you to raise your right hand for me. Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can place your hand down, Ms. Porter. What would you like to tell the court?
I was just wanting to make sure that he gets help for mental health, and while he's out on bond, if he does, make that aware, because he's got a major mental health issue.
Thank you for being here this afternoon, Ms. Porter.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, Mr. Cook.
Yeah, Your Honor, my client is 21 years old. He is at this moment homeless. I'm going to try to get him some help on that. he has no problem with no further contact or stay away from the incident or from Miss Porter. We would be seeking, we certainly have no objection to that portion of the recommendation that was a signature bond. We would be seeking on the other portion, I believe part of this might be restricted. We would be seeking, since he is homeless, he has no job, has no real way to make a money bond. If a money bond is required, we would be asking that be as low as can possibly be made.
For the battery, it'll be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2, a social worker visit to assist with housing, 1-day anger awareness, no further contact with Elizabeth Porter, stay away from her residential address, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. No contact means absolutely no contact, Mr. DeSole. No phone contact, no email contact, no personal contact, no internet contact, no contact whatsoever. If you violate that portion of the bond, it will be revoked and you'll be right back where you are. For the willful obstruction, a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2, criminal trespass, $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2, makes for a total of a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. The same stay away and no contact as was previously addressed, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, sir. Mr. Earl Jennings, I'm happy to have you in my court, but I'm going to have to either have you go off camera or stop walking around for me, okay? You walking around as a distraction for court, okay? So I'm happy to have you here, but if you will find a quiet place to address us. Who do we have next?
This is position number 9.
Okay.
He's also a conflict.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Slyman. Let's see, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. You have a right to have an attorney present at these proceedings. We unfortunately do not have a conflict attorney available this afternoon to assist you. I can either allow you to proceed pro se this afternoon, which is without the advice of an attorney, or I can reschedule you for tomorrow when we can have someone here for you. What would you like for me to do this afternoon?
I think the first option is better.
Okay. Mr. Slyman, you've been charged in case 24 CR 004600B with willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer, simple battery, no insurance, knowingly driving a motor vehicle on suspended, canceled, or revoked registration, expired or no license plate or decal, and failure to place the decal on the tag. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
No.
Alan?
Your Honor, you heard the facts of this case previously when the co-defendant was addressed. This was the driver of the vehicle on July the 10th who struck the female police officer on the side of the road after being directed to get out of the vehicle and after being directed to log on and show documentation of insurance and registration that would contradict what the police had shown in their system. After refusing to exit the vehicle, the defendant in this case started to strike the officer. She called for backup. The passenger also engaged in striking the officer, and multiple other officers had to respond. We would ask for the same kind of bond as the co-defendant, Your Honor.
Remind me who that co-defendant was, Miss Allen. I'm sorry.
McFadden.
Okay, thank you.
So $1,000 on each count, signature bond, pretrial level 1 through the jail.
Okay, for the obstruction, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. With a simple battery, $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. For each of the other offenses, no insurance, $250 signature bond through pretrial level 1. $250 for the cancel or revoke registration, $250 for the license plate, and $250 for the decal. Makes for a total of a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Okay, Mr. Slavin, good luck to you, sir.
Next is Spalding. He's the add-on.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Spalding. You've been charged in case 24 CR 004612D with theft by shoplifting. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Spalding, 21, a resident of Savannah, was arrested this year for a battery case. On probation in Chatham County for shoplifting. In 2020, they gave him 9 years, 7 months. Got another probation for shoplifting, so that's what, 2 convictions. I think I counted 3 total. Hold on.
Yes, Your Honor, he's
Yeah,
had a prior felony conviction for shoplifting. This should, by jurisdictional argument, be a felony. We did not get a response back from the DA's office, although I was able to look in the system and see the appropriate number of felonies that are charges that would make this, convictions that would make this a felony. We went ahead and charged the case today. This may be a transfer at some point. This defendant was at Macy's at 3393 Peachtree Road here in Atlanta at 1:46 p.m. Loss prevention made a police report and told police that they had observed the defendant going around the location with a book bag, taking multiple items of clothing and concealing those items in his book bag. He even tried to conceal himself behind fixtures and furniture while he was putting these items in his book bag. He left the book bag by the doorway at one point so that he could go outside and look and see where the mall security was and make sure the coast was clear. He came back in and retrieved the book bag, moved it closer to the doorway. Unfortunately, he moved it close enough to make the alarm system go off. And at that point, he was detained. He had $410 worth of clothing items. He was Mirandized on scene and made an admission to shoplifting these items with the intent to take them into his possession and steal them. We would ask for a $5,000 good bond, Your Honor, in this case. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons, and to stay away from the Peachtree Road Macy's. Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Kim.
Yes, Your Honor. My client, Mr. Spalding, is 24 years young, Your Honor. We would like to request for a signature on bond through pretrial, no matter what level that it will be. He has another foreign county that he has to be transferred to, so he's not going anywhere except at Chatham County that he has a probation violation. Your Honor, he will be in jail for a while. He was working for a construction site, doing painting and flooring. However, he's afraid that he's going to be out of job due to long incarceration. He does not have any child. He completed GED successfully. He's qualified for public defender services. And we would like to request for signature on bond through pretrial. Thank you.
It'll be $1,000 good bond. Stay away from the Macy's on Peachtree, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Spalding.
Nope. ACDC, go ahead and go.
Thank you. Coming up is position number 12, Wingfield.
Good afternoon, Ms. Wingfield. You've been charged in case 24 CR 004603Y with theft by taking. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
No.
Yes, Ms. Allen.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident from the 1st of July, 2024. The victim in this case is LaWanda Jackson. We have, at the time of court, not been successful in getting in touch with her, but are trying. This is an incident from 301 North Central Avenue, the Best Western Hotel in Hapeville. Police responded to the location and were told by the victim that on Monday, July the 1st, between 1:15 and 3 p.m., 1:15 p.m. and 3 p.m., a coworker, the defendant, entered the locker room where personal belongings are kept, went into the victim, Mrs. Jackson's purse, rifled through the purse, took $300 out of her purse or her wallet specifically, and then left. Video was obtained that showed the defendant go through the victim's purse and remove cash. Management, as well as the victim, identified the defendant based on video. And knowing this individual, the police reviewed the video and obtained the warrant. We would be asking for a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1, given she's got no history. And if you could sound from Mrs. Wingfield. No, I'm sorry, Mrs. Jackson. Thank you.
Ms. LaWanda Jackson is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity. Yes, Ms. Kim.
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 31 years old. She is a stay-home mother of 4 minor children, year 3 to 9 years old. Your Honor, he graduated from high school, and this is her first offense. We would like to request for a signature on bond through jail. Thank you.
Okay, it would be a $2,000 signature bond through the jail. No further contact with LaWanda Jackson. Stay away from the Best Western on North Central Avenue, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Wingfield.
Next, we have position 11, Ms. Williams.
Good afternoon, Ms. Williams. You've been charged in case 24 CR 004602E with theft by receiving stolen property and theft by taking. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Second arrest, a resident of Vegas, Las Vegas. 2023 case out of Clayton County for battery DV, battery, simple battery. Appears to be open. That's all.
Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident that occurred at Georgia State. The incident date is July the 6th of 2024. Victim Delia, Deleah Walker, Walker, and Daniel, common spelling Matthew, Mathieu is his last name, reported that their scooters that they used to travel around on had been stolen. These are GoTrax, GOTRAX scooters. The report was made at 1 p.m. at 101 Piedmont Avenue Southeast, which is part of the Georgia Tech campus. They reported that they chained their scooters up to the bike rack at noon, and when they returned, the scooters were gone. Each of the scooters is a value of about $350, so they've been charged together. On July the 9th, video footage of the location was reviewed, and this defendant was seen with a male who jerked and broke the chain on the scooters and then took the scooters. She took one, he took the other, and they left on the scooters. She was ID'd based on swiping into her residential location at the University Lofts on 123 Edgewood. On video camera at that location, officers observed them exiting the location. Her swiping was reviewed and it was determined that the individual she swiped into the loft's location was her co-defendant, who was seen breaking the lock to get the scooters. On the 10th of July, this defendant was interviewed by Georgia State Police, and she admitted that her friend Zamir, Z-Y-M-I-R, took the scooters. She provided a video where she was asking him to return those scooters, but he refused. She's charged with knowing that the scooter she's in possession of was stolen and she had no intention to return it, and theft by taking, based on the video depiction of her standing by and then riding the scooter away, Your Honor. We would ask for $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services level 2, since she's out on bond. I'm pretty sure violating the law is a condition of the bond she's already on. And stay away from Georgia Tech campus, the victims in this case.
Yeah. Is your case, Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor.
You can proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Williams is only 19 years old, Your Honor, and we would like to request for signature on by through jail. And actually, she goes to school at Georgia State University full-time, so it's okay not to go to Georgia Tech. However, she has to go to Georgia State University. She is working part-time at Stadium, and she's going to school for full-time. She will be a rising sophomore. She's taking summer classes full-time for criminal justice and psychology. She's a very good student. We would like to request for a signature on bond through jail. Thank you.
I didn't mean to say Georgia Tech. I apologize.
Is it Georgia? Is it 101 Piedmont Avenue? Is that Georgia Tech or Georgia State?
It's Georgia State, Your Honor. I
Georgia
apologize.
State. No, you're fine. But it's
Obviously, if she is
living at-
currently enrolled and will continue to be living there and going to school there, I don't have any documentation about that. They may change their mind about wanting her on their campus. We would follow through and deal with that in that respect, but obviously have no contact with the victims in this case, and the co-defendant in this case, Your Honor, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. The co-defendant's name is Zamir, Z-Y-M-I-R. See if I can find his last name again. Mills, M-I-L-L-S.
Okay. If Ms. Walker or Mr. Matthew, either of you are on the line and wish to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. For each of the charges, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through the jail, makes for a total of a $4,000 signature bond through the jail. No further contact with Ms. Walker or Mr. Matthew or Mr. Mills. Stay away. Well, no stay away as long as she's in school. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Williams.
You said speak up, please. You said theft by taking, but the Georgia State Police officer.
Miss Williams, you have a right to remain silent. If you have any questions, please call me. I'll be happy to explain to you.
Okay, thank
you. Bye-bye. Position number 1.
Okay, and if Mr. Cook, are you ready on Ms. Barita?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, just wanted to make sure before we got started.
Sure.
Good afternoon, Ms. Barita. You've been charged in case 24 CR 004592J with loitering and prowling and possession of a pistol or revolver by a person under 18 years of age. Is there a history?
No.
Ms. McConkey?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred on, give me one second, my computer is spazzing. Okay. This incident occurred on July 10th, 2024, between 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. at the Magnolia Park Apartments located at 60 Pascal Boulevard in Atlanta. Officers received a call in regards to 3 individuals wearing all Black clothing and Black face masks that were trying to break into vehicles at the location. Upon canvassing the area, Officer Washington and Officer Lee saw 3 suspects start to run away. The officers chased behind them, and Officer Washington deployed his taser and made a connection with one of the suspects. Upon Officer Hernandez's arrival, Officer Lee and Officer Washington had 2 suspects detained, one of them being the defendant. Upon searching the defendant, officers found a gray Springfield firearm on the defendant's person. It was located inside of her bag. The area was further canvassed and no damage was found to the vehicles. Officers then contacted the individual who reported the crime, who advised that he was from the monitoring company of the apartment complex and would be sending video footage of the incident. Given the incredibly suspicious nature of the defendant's actions, the state's recommendation is a $1,000 surety bond on the loiter prowl, a $5,000 surety bond on the possession of a pistol, a curfew, as I believe the defendant just turned 17 this month. Stay away from the incident location, no drugs, weapons, or firearms while out on bond.
Mr. Cook?
Yes, Your Honor, my client is 17 years old and really has a part-time job where she makes a minimal amount of money. We have no objection to any stay away provisions, obviously, and we really need the surety bond to be as low as possible. I have determined, well, I have a name for somebody who, her mother, who I have not been in contact with, but my client believes would be a co-signer, which she might need given the nature of the bond. Beyond that, this is her first arrest. And again, we would simply be asking for the court to provide as low a bond as possible, given her financial status.
Okay, I'm not going to release her through pretrial unless there's someone that's going to sign for her. Mr. Cook, what I will suggest that we do is that I'm on the SAP calendar on next Tuesday. If you can get in touch with her mother or a guardian, I am happy to readdress this bond that I'm going to accept the state's recommendation at this point in time, given the nature of the charges and that I don't see anyone here where it's going to vouch where she's going to live. So 1,000 on the loitering and prowling, 500 good on the possession of a pistol, makes for a total of a $6,000 good bond. Stay away from the Magnolia Falls apartments. Curfew from she's to be in by 9 p.m. and remain in until 6 a.m. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. If you do get in touch with her mother or family members where she lives, I am happy to readdress this. Ms. Bridgewater, if you can place this case on the Tuesday SAP calendar for me, so that I can possibly readdress it at that time, if that's okay with you, Mr. Cook.
Then that's fine. What is that date? What is that Tuesday date?
That Tuesday date is gonna be the 16th.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I'm willing to either reconsider the bond at that time, but I need to have her mother or parent or guardian or somebody present, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Good luck to you, Miss Farida.
So you said, Judge, it was a total of 6,000, 1,000 on lower and 5,000 on possession of Chelsea?
That's correct, yes.
All right, thank you. Position number 8 is a medical research.
Okay, so that'll be reset until tomorrow, 7/12. That right? Yes. And does that conclude this afternoon's calendar?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Wait a minute, no, I had another client at ACDC, Vernita Harris, is that correct, Officer Milton?
Yes.
Okay.
And I have a question. What did position 3 Davenport receive?
A $10 good bond on each charge makes for a total of a $20 good bond.
Thank you.
There's no Harris on here. It was on the pool sheet.
Well, it was on the pull sheet. Somehow it didn't wind up on the calendar, but she's sitting at ACDC, and I've interviewed her. I hope we can
Right.
go ahead and just do it. I mean,
This is like we had yesterday, and maybe we need some directive from the court. This is someone who was offered the opportunity to take part in the PAD program and was interviewed.
oh, okay.
So we haven't filed an accusation because that's the practice when someone takes part in the PAD program.
Do we know, did Pat accept her, or was there a refusal, or do we know? Okay, I thought, because I'd requested the pad for her, and I don't know, so we don't even know if she was interviewed yet. Is that correct?
I'll reach out to Drew and Ashley and see if she was interviewed, and if she was accepted, then I'll send the bond order.
I also
Okay.
made a request.
Oh, okay, okay.
Well, I wouldn't want to, if we can deal with her today, let's go ahead and see if we can do that. Mr. Ty, you think you can try to get in touch with,
Yes, I'll call
Beth?
right.
Okay, and would you mind if we went over the calendar while you do that?
That's fine, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, Ms. Reed.
Okay. Once again, the reset date for the SAP calendar is July the 25th. Position number 1 is going to the SAP calendar. Well, I take that back. It's not going to that particular SAP calendar. It's going to be reset to the SAP calendar for July 16th with a total of a $6,000 good bond. Position 2 is reset further notice with a $5,000 SOB through pretrial. Position 3 is going to the SAP calendar with a total of a $20 good bond. 4 is reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through pretrial. 5 is reset further notice with a total of a $3,000 SOB through pretrial. 6 is reset further notice with a total of a $4,000 SOB through pretrial. 7, reset further notice with a total of a $2,000 SOB through pretrial. Position number 8 is medically reset till tomorrow. Position number 9 is reset further notice with a total of a $4,000 SOB through pretrial. 10, reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through pretrial. 11, reset further notice with a total of a $4,000 SOB through the jail. 12 is reset further notice with a $2,000 SOB through the jail. On the Malone case, Jason Malone, he was an add-on. That case is reset to the SAP calendar with a $5,000 good bond. And the other add-on case, Spalding, is going to the SAP calendar with a $1,000 good bond. Are there any questions, comments, or otherwise?
Okay, so we'll wait to report on Ms. Atai and see if we can deal with that one last person before we go.
Okay.
Did you get my message, Ms. Bridgewater?
No, I'm gonna look at it right now.
Okay.
Okay, I'm looking at it. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Right now. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Your Honor, Ashley stated that she interviewed Smickley, another PAD referral today, but I'm sorry if I was interrupting, I didn't hear.
No.
But she did not interview Harris. But I asked her if she'll be able to call ACDC. I don't know if we want to wait for that.
I'd hate to see her lose her chance at pad, then she would get caught up in a longer process, but
I would love some suggestions about how to do this the right way. I just forwarded you my request from this morning at 8:40.
Okay.
And normally, and I don't know what's happened, but normally we have someone on for PAD for the entire session, don't we?
We do.
Okay,
Yes,
so,
Drew was here often for the entire session.
okay, well, I
Drew
think that could cut down on if we had somebody here, that would cut down on some of this, I believe.
Drew told me, I'm sorry, Your Honor, Drew told me that she was off today, and Ashley was managing the PAD referrals. Maybe there was some miscommunication about who she was supposed to interview for PAD, because she did interview one, but not Harris.
Okay, well, maybe there's just a glitch in the system, given that it's summertime and people are off from time to time. But if next time Pat is on and I'm here, or maybe you can suggest it to another judge, that I'm happy to have a conversation to see what the expectation is as far as them being with us here in court. Okay, so I'll do that next time someone from Pat is on with us.
Okay, I'm waiting. Sorry, Ashley's typing something to me right now about whether she'll be able to interview Harris.
Yeah, and I sent that paperwork to you.
Okay, thank you. I got it. I'm gonna get it right back to you.
And she said she won't be able to interview Harris today. And then if they can't pick her up tomorrow, then they wouldn't be able to pick her up until Tuesday, I think.
Tuesday, yeah, Tuesday, yeah.
So I don't know anything about the case. Is this something that there's a signature bond recommended, or?
Well,
It is a signature bond request. It was a criminal trespass.
Okay, so.
I can go ahead and file the accusation right now.
Okay, so why don't we do that, and then I'll just hear it. If it's a signature bond request, we can go ahead and give her a signature bond, and I believe as we did the other day, there'll be a PAD request if she wants to go to PAD. Is that right?
Yeah. Judge, Ms. Kim wants to know, can she be expedient? The courtroom too want to know whether we could be excused.
Yes, Ms. Kim. If you don't have any further business before the court, you're excused today.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, when the defendants are referred to PAD, well, they're released to PAD, picked up by PAD, but also the state would null pros the charges. So I don't know if
that's the agreement. If we actually have some communication in the morning and we don't get to this point where we're filing an accusation that we never intended to file because we wanted to refer someone and nobody ever spoke to them. So now we're in a position where it looks like we want to charge someone with a crime we originally agreed that we would not charge because they were given an opportunity and no one ever responded to us. And we're certainly not willing to just dismiss a case and release someone with no services or some kind of safety net. So it puts us in a little bit of an awkward position. At this point, we have to file an accusation and then deal with the issues of services and support and a potential dismissal at some point on the back end.
Unless you want to wait till tomorrow, Ms. Atai or Mr. Cook.
As long as that doesn't have a negative effect on Riverside and the state, there's no bad.
Yeah, and also they don't accept PAD candidates on Friday because they don't pick up on Saturdays. So it would actually throw throw the pickup date to Tuesday with an interview on Monday. So that throws her through the weekend, and I guess maybe the best thing is just if we can get a signature bond, we'll go in that direction. And as you said, somewhere on the backside, there might be a dismissal. Just
Okay, well, let me know when that's done, and
The accusation has been filed. I'm just waiting for it to get a number.
Who is this?
This is Bernita Harris.
Thank you.
good afternoon. Let me address you, Ms. Harris. Good afternoon. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Let's see, as soon as I get an accusation number and a charge, I will let you know what that is.
I will check on that accusation number now. See if
Okay,
it's been
thank you.
done. We're working on getting that right now, you guys. Hold on just a second, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm about to go grab this add-on. I'll be back.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Champion. It looks like the accusation number, Ms. Harris, that you've been charged with is 24 CR 004617G, charged with criminal trespass. Let's see, Mr. Howard, I think, went away for a minute. Ms. McConkey, do you, why don't you go ahead and tell me the facts?
This incident occurred on July 10th, 2024. Officers responded to 3330 MLK Junior Drive Southwest in Atlanta, which I believe is a Texaco, in reference to a criminal trespass. The defendant was trespassing at that location after previously being given a criminal trespass warning on July 6th, 2024. I do not think there were any criminal trespass convictions in her history, so the state's recommendation is a signature bond, and of course, stay away from that incident location, 3330 MLK Junior Drive Southwest.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Cook?
No objection.
Okay, it'll be $1,000 signature bond through the jail. Stay away from the Texaco at 3330. And no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Harris. Okay, does that conclude the calendar? All right. Thank you all. I appreciate it. Good being
Your
with
Honor,
you.
I just
Thank
sent
you,
a
Bill.
null clause for you to sign if you don't mind, please.
Okay, so I'll
And
sign
I'll
the
be
null
sending-
clause.
Yes, and I'll be sending this order here as well that we just did.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll see y'all next time. Have a good weekend.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you.